You know, movement today is so incredibly easy that it's basically invisible to us. But in this explainer, we're going to totally shatter that modern illusion. For roughly 300,000 years, every single journey a human being ever took happened at one speed: walking speed. We're going to dive into the sheer, raw biological power, the amazing adaptations that made our ancestors the most exceptional long-distance walkers on the planet, and how that one single physical limitation literally shaped the entire world we live in today.
Okay, just think about this massive contrast for a second. You probably got into a car recently, turned a key, pressed a pedal, and cruised at 40 miles an hour without flexing a single muscle, right? But 100,000 years ago, that exact same commute would have taken 2 full days. 2 days of walking completely barefoot through territory that could easily kill you. There were absolutely no roads, no helpful little signs pointing the way. Just getting from point A to point B meant risking absolutely everything.
And when you look at these top speeds, we honestly look like massive losers in the animal kingdom. I mean, a cheetah hits 70 miles per hour. A horse easily sustains 30 miles per hour for miles on end. And us? We top out at maybe 15 miles per hour, and that's only for a few desperate seconds before we're totally gasping for air. But here's the thing. Our biological superpower was never speed. It was endurance. We aren't built to win a sprint. We're built to walk 20 miles, sleep, and do it all over again the next day, and the next, for weeks. Literally, no other animal on Earth can pull that off.
Now see that massive number right there? 2 million? That's not just a random stat. That represents the roughly 2 million sweat glands acting as your body's built-in cooling system. And this is a monumental biological advantage. Because while every other large mammal on the savanna overheats and literally has to stop moving just to pant and cool down, you don't. Your biology lets you sweat while you are still in motion. You outlast absolutely everything else out there because you are built to never stop.
Let's pop the hood on this, because viscerally speaking, you are built like a high-end off-road vehicle. You have shock absorbers and dynamic springs directly in the arches of your feet. Your Achilles tendon, it literally stores and releases energy with every single step, which means your muscles don't have to carry the full load of your movement. And then there's this amazing thing called the nuchal ligament running up the back of your neck. Its whole job is to keep your head perfectly stable while your body bounces along underneath it. This biological hardware makes you the ultimate perpetual motion machine. It's honestly wild to think that for millions of years, that biological chassis was our only transportation technology. In 1978, archaeologists discovered a trail of footprints in Laetoli, Tanzania. They were pressed into volcanic ash 3.6 million years ago by 2 individuals just walking upright, side by side. They are the oldest evidence of bipedal walking we've ever found, and they look almost exactly like your feet right now. For millions of years, this physical design was the only thing keeping our species alive.
And all of this incredible biology eventually enabled what is basically an epic 15,000-mile global road test. Starting roughly 70,000 years ago, small groups started pushing, generation by generation, out of Africa. They walked across the Middle East, spread all the way across Asia and Europe, crossed over into Alaska, and just kept going south through the Americas. And the crazy part? They weren't just wandering blindly. They were actively networking. We know they traded obsidian and amber across entire mountain ranges on foot. They conquered the globe using nothing but human endurance.
But as incredible as that is, this phenomenal biological engine eventually hit a wall. As the saying goes, walking works great, right up until something gets in the way. You can trek across a massive desert or conquer a mountain pass, but a deep river, that stops you dead in your tracks. For hundreds of thousands of years, water was basically a solid, impassable wall. Well, water and heavy cargo.
So water basically forced our hand. We had to invent. Look at these massive leaps. 800,000 years ago, ancient humans somehow crossed 12 miles of open ocean to leave stone tools on the island of Flores. By 65,000 years ago, humans are crossing 60 miles of ocean to reach Australia, totally blind to the land on the other side. We found the 10,000-year-old Pessie canoe in the Netherlands. And then 3,000 years ago, the Polynesians are out there sailing 2,500 miles across the vast Pacific using just stars, ocean swells, and bird flight patterns. Our biology conquered the land, but our brains and boats conquered the water.
Back on land, though, we still had a huge biological problem. Even with those amazing spring-like arches and energy-storing tendons, our bodies hit a strict, hard weight limit. You just cannot walk 20 miles carrying a 200-pound animal you just hunted. You can't do it. For most of human history, distance wasn't actually the biggest barrier. Weight was.
The human body can handle maybe 40 to 60 pounds before it literally starts breaking down under the strain. So how do you survive when you physically can't carry your own food home? You have to cheat your own biology. To get past this limitation, we evolved our transportation in stages. First, we just started dragging stuff. We'd throw heavy loads of animal hides and pull them. We actually know this from ancient wear marks. Then, some genius invented the travois. You tied two long poles into a V-shape, drag the narrow end, and load up the wide end. Suddenly, one single person could move 100 pounds because the weight was distributed. But the ultimate game changer? It wasn't something we built. It was something we befriended. This is where our incredible animal partnerships come into play. Around 15,000 years ago, we teamed up with dogs, and one of their very first jobs was hauling weight. A single dog could pull 45 pounds on an Arctic sled. Then, about 5,500 years ago, the Botai people in Kazakhstan did something totally revolutionary. They domesticated the horse. They put bits in their mouths and actually rode them. After 300,000 years of maxing out at a 4-mile-an-hour walk, a human could suddenly travel at 30 miles an hour. In a single generation, the world practically shrank overnight.
Okay, this next detail is absolutely mind-bending. Humans had already sailed to Australia, navigated the entire Pacific Ocean, and tamed wild horses thousands of years before anyone actually invented the wheel. Let that sink in. The oldest wheel we found is from Slovenia, and it's only 5,200 years old. It was practically a late-stage transportation invention. And get this, it actually started as a potter's spinning disc for clay, until someone looked at it, flipped it on its side, and thought, hey, we can move stuff with this.
Now, to be fair, those early wheels were basically giant, heavy discs of solid wood. They cracked, they got hopelessly stuck in the mud. Honestly, a horse without a cart was way faster. But around 2000 BC, someone figured out the lighter, much stronger spoked wheel. Boom, fast chariots. Combine that with the very first paved roads showing up around 4000 BC in the city of and we finally had the ultimate setup. We had speed and heavy cargo capacity at the exact same time. The wheel, the horse, and the road, that is the exact combination that built civilizations, forged empires, and caused global trade to absolutely explode.
So, taking a step back to look at the big picture here. For 300,000 years, we relied 100% on the shock absorbers, the tendons, and the cooling systems of our biological legs. Every tiny breakthrough took thousands of years of really dangerous trial and error. And yet today, movement is so utterly frictionless, so completely solved, that we actually get annoyed if our airplane's Wi-Fi drops out while we're flying over an ocean. We get irritated if our rideshare takes 5 minutes instead of 4.
We have solved the problem of distance so thoroughly that we completely forgot it was ever a problem to begin with. But I want you to remember this. Every single highway, every train track, and every massive airport on this planet only exists because roughly 300,000 years ago, someone with the exact same biology you have right now looked out at the horizon and just started walking. They stepped into the unknown because staying still literally meant dying. Which leaves us with one incredibly provocative question. If our ancestors managed to conquer the entire globe barefoot, where are you going today?